What's up, guys, and welcome to the weekly Q&A. We've got Molly here, we've got our questions ready, so let's dive in.
Okay, first question comes from Sun Goku, who asks why Lando was wearing Han's clothes at the end of The Empire Strikes Back.
I get this question a lot, and it's been covered on other channels, but whatever, we can talk about it too. At the end of Empire Strikes Back, Lando left Cloud City in a hurry. All he had was a blaster and the cape on his back, so I'm guessing he had to raid Han's closet, and in my mind, Han just has a closet full of black vests and white shirts and nothing else, so that's what I think probably happened. Also, outside of the universe, I think it's possible that they were setting up Lando to be Han's replacement. At that point in time, it wasn't clear whether or not Harrison Ford would be returning for another movie, so I think Lando was there as a potential replacement for Han.
Michael Sweat wants to know the difference between the Empire and the New Republic for the average citizen.
It boils down to the Empire being a dictatorship and the New Republic being a democracy. Now, I don't think the New Republic was perfect, but in general, I think people experienced less oppression and more freedom. The Empire, we have so many different stories about the Empire exploiting, especially Outer Rim worlds, like just taking all their resources and leaving the citizens to fend for themselves and often die. So I think it probably depended on where in the galaxy you lived. Like, people in the core worlds, I doubt they saw much of a difference between the New Republic and the Empire because they just weren't as exploited. But for most of the citizens throughout the galaxy, I think they were happier under the New Republic.
Michael Williams asks if Inferno Squad contains a continuity error.
Yeah, so I went back and I read that passage that you are referring to, and it says that Aiden's father gave a speech supporting the Empire before she was born, and she's seen holovids of it. However, she's 22 years old at the time of the Battle of Yavin, which would mean that she was born before the Clone Wars. So yeah, I do think there's kind of a continuity error, but one that we can just hand wave away by saying Aiden was just too young to remember the speech and had to see holovids of it. So I think you're technically right, but I think they could pretty easily fix that in future editions.
Darth Sandrum wants to know if Disney's announcement of their own streaming service means a Star Wars TV show is a given.
I don't think we can say that it's an absolute given. Like, it's definitely going to happen. I don't even know if it's more likely. I know that Disney has openly said they're exploring options for live-action TV, but if they're going to do something exclusive for that service, in my opinion, I think they would probably want to test the service first, make sure that people buy into it before they allocate a budget specifically for like an exclusive streaming show.
Or they could go so far as to go ahead and announce a show in order to promote the streaming service.
I do think that that's also an option because, that would immediately make me buy into it. I guess we just have to wait and see. Difference of opinion.
Jacob Kasnoff asks if a lightsaber could block a bullet.
I imagine it could. A lightsaber is supposed to be just plasma, so I don't think it would deflect a bullet like it would a blaster bolt. I think a bullet would hit it and just disintegrate or melt. Also, since Jacob asked a question, I'm going to give him a little shout out. A few weeks or months back, I did a video on how to make a holocron, and that was like an in-universe step-by-step thing, and some people commented and said, oh, I wish this were actually a real-life DIY. Well, Jacob does DIY prop tutorial videos, and I told him, hey, if you make a holocron, I will give you a shout-out. And so he did that, and you can go watch that by following the card or the link in the description. That's it for patron questions. If you're a patron and you didn't see your question answered here, just head over to Patreon where I left you a written response. If you're not a patron, you can learn more by following the link in the description. Just $1 a month will get you access to extra Star Wars Explained goodies like audio commentaries for the films and monthly giveaways, and the combined donations really go a long way in helping to support the channel.
On to YouTube questions. Spyros asks if all religions in Star Wars are linked with the Force.
I think yes, at least as far as we know right now. All of the religions have something to do with the Force. Now, that's not to say that in the future, at some point, there could be some new religion that has absolutely nothing to do with the Force. But I think we're supposed to assume that in this universe, every belief system kind of uses the Force as a jumping off point.
Oliver Piatilla wants to know if Chewie's wife and son are canon.
Yes, both Mala, his wife, and his son Lumpawaru so far have been mentioned in canon stories. Actually, Lumpy, or as they're now calling him, Waru, which I think is a better nickname, he had his own chapter or interlude in Aftermath Empire's End. I also think it's very likely that we're going to see them in the upcoming Han Solo movie.
Liam O asks if Darth Vader's Star Destroyer, the Devastator, had any upgrades compared to the other Star Destroyers.
I don't think there's been anything specified anywhere, but I wouldn't be surprised if Darth Vader's flagship before the Executor had a little something extra to it. Actually, I will say, I think we can pretty confidently assume that he had a meditation chamber in there somewhere, and that's not exactly Imperial standard issue.
I think I read somewhere that there was an anti-sand barrier around the ship, but that might not be canon.
That makes sense.
The Star Wars nerd wants to know how a primitive species like the Talz got from their planet all the way to the Cantina in A New Hope.
The same way Ewoks started to spread out through the galaxy after Return of the Jedi. I think once the Republic discovered the species, they started to have diplomatic relations with them, and then in the over 20 years between the Clone Wars and A New Hope, it stands to reason that one of the more adventurous Talz could have easily negotiated his way onto a ship.
Star Commander asks if the Bendu will ever appear in future canon material.
I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I think almost definitely. I mean, maybe in Star Wars Rebels Season 4, but if not, I just think he's too interesting a concept for Lucasfilm to just drop completely and forever. I'm sure he's going to show up or be referenced in future stories or something. That's all the time we have for questions today, but we do have a couple of housekeeping things to mention real fast. First is just a reminder that we're going to be at Dragon Con Labor Day weekend here in Atlanta.
We're still not sure what panels we're going to be on, but we're going to be hosting meetups and just hanging out all weekend, so keep an eye on our Twitter and Instagram for that.
Second, there's a local theater here called Dad's Garage, and they are about to open a musical parody of Wicked, but they're calling it Wicket, and it's all about Ewoks. That's going to open on September 8th, and if you're in the Atlanta area, we would love to see the show with you.
They've agreed to give us a couple t-shirts and tickets to give away, so more details on that coming soon.
That's it for today. If you want to leave a question for either of us or both of us for next week's video, just put it in the comments below or sign up for Patreon to join our weekly Q&A discussion. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel,
and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All links for that are in the description box below.
As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.